So now we're going to review multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. And this is going to be represented in both exponent form as well as base 10 values. When I'm speaking about base 10 values, I'm talking about 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, and so forth. So there's two things to notice while multiplying and divided. There's similar rules, but we still have to pay close attention to the procedures. So let's take a look at the first example. I have the number 3.472, and I'm multiplying that by 10 to the power of 3. For certain students, they can tell right away that since we are multiplying, we are shifting our decimal to the right. So when we are multiplying, we are moving the decimal point right. And that's very important. And here, like again, I said it's 10 to the third. The exponent will tell me how many place values I will be shifting to the right. So again, the two key things is the operation and the exponent. So let's try this out. I recommend to students to always circle the decimal point as our starting point. We're shifting right 3 place values. And I always encourage students to draw. So that's 1 jump or 1 place value, 2 place values, and now 3 place values. If I were to rewrite the same number, it would be 3, 4, 7, 2 with the place value, with the decimal point after the number 2. For some students, it helps to rewrite the exponent form into standard form. So 10 to the third is going to give me 1,000. Now let's look at the second example. Now in the second example, I already have this in standard notation and not in exponential form. Again, identify the number of zeros. I have here 2 zeros in the number 100. So these 2 zeros will indicate to me how many place values I will have to move or shift to the right. Again, I am moving to the right because I am multiplying. So I have my 2 zeros and I'm multiplying. So again, let's find our decimal and let's draw out the jumps. 2 zeros, so I'm shifting 2 place values to the right. 1, 2. Let's rewrite the number. 3, 4, 7, 2. And my decimal place last was seen between the 7 and the 2. Let's look at our next example. So for this one, I wrote a different number, and I'm going to actually divide. So let's take away the multiplication sign. Sorry about that, guys. And let's just put a division sign over here. Just like the first example, I'm going to start with an exponent. So 473 and 1/10 divided by 10 to the second equals. Similar steps. I notice my operation, which is now division. Division requires me to shift my decimal place to the left. So moving the decimal point left. Very important. When we're dividing, we're moving our decimal to the left. When we're multiplying, we're moving to the right. I'm going to identify my exponent, which is 10 to the second. So I'm going to circle that 2, letting me know that I am shifting 2 place values to my left. Again, I encourage students to circle that decimal, and now let's jump 2 places to the left. Again, if it's hard for you to tell left from right, do this with your fingers. The one that looks like the correct L is left. I'm taking my decimal 2 places to the left. 1, 2. I'm rewriting my number as was, and now I'm looking at where I stopped, which is between the 4 and the 7. Now let's try one last example with a standard form. Let's keep the same numbers. 473 and 1/10 divided by, let's say, 1,000 equals. I'm identifying my operation, which is division. I'm looking at my value, my powers of 10 value. It's in standard notation. I'm going to identify the number of zeros, which will also tell me how many place values I'll be shifting. I notice that in the number 1,000, there are 3 zeros. So let's find our decimal, and let's take those 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3. Let's rewrite our number, 4731. I notice that my last location of the decimal is right after the 4, and I'm rewriting my number. So again, similar procedures, but the crucial thing is knowing the direction of the decimal movement. Multiplication, we're moving our decimal point to the right. Division, we're moving our decimal point to the left. I hope this clears up any confusion when multiplying and dividing by powers of 10.